Hey, coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. I was working on a unlisted video that will go in hand with the offensive line manual that I'm currently making into a hardback that we're going to get published and try to reach a whole new audience, the people that do things with the hardback copies of it. And all my premium resources are full of video clips. So I had to go back through it, take all the links, convert them to QR codes so people could scan from the book and look at it through their devices, look at the videos that go along with it. And I've made several of them, and I was making one for the Kickout blocks, and the ones used by the guards and mostly guards on the counters and the such. And I said, dang, I looked on it. I've done some Kickout videos, but never anything with the clips the way this is. And so I'm going to try to do that. And that's when I said, well, this will make a good video to make public and let everybody see too. So it's going to serve two purposes. But before we get started, let's pay a few bills, so to speak. If you've ever wondered about that beautiful theme music that we have here at Football Talk with Coach Chip and Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast, it comes from our buddy Brian Hale at Hale Yeah Digital Designs. You see the information right there on the screen. You can find them on the interwebs. I just went there myself. It's where I got the screenshot. Brian does great work. He totally made that song up. He said, what do you think of this one? And I said, man, that's freaking awesome. Thanks, dude. But if you got a podcast, if you got a YouTube channel, or you need something for a highlight reel or whatever it is, contact our buddy Brian Hale at Hale Yeah Digital Designs. You'll see them at haleyeahdigital@gmail.com is their email address. And it's haleyeahdigital.com on the internet. And you see the phone number right there as well, or you can email them. But thanks to Brian, all the good folks over there at Hale Yeah Digital. We appreciate y'all. All right, guys, the gunpowder spread system is out. It's going like hotcakes. I never understood the origin of that analogy, but it is. It's selling like crazy. It's selling like waffles at the Waffle House at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, if you know what I mean. It's going great. The gunpowder spread system is a manual. It's a playbook. It's a memoir. It's a collection of clips, a collection of diagrams, go into the detail about drills, about the origin of it, how we got there. And I'll send it to you as an email attachment, just like I've done the other premium resources. It's $100. It's the most we've ever done, but here's why. I'm going to keep updating it. I update it about twice a year is what my plan is. I've already got 2 sections that I'm working on. I'm going to add 2 coming up in the late winter, early springtime. I'm going to do a section based on unbalanced sets and another one dedicated to running backs or wide receivers. I'm going to do one of them first, and then the other one will come about. And so what I want to do is do one kind of like in March, April, somewhere in there, and do another one maybe in July, right before football gets rolling good, and then maybe another one in December when football's over with. It's just whenever it strikes my fancy or when I see I need to add to that. But just hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com. If you want to add any of the other premium resources, we can do that at a reduced price. We'll just bundle them together. All the premium resources together add up to $210. I'll let you have all of them for $150. I don't charge you to make a ton of money, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I charge you to justify my time, the same way I charge school systems to justify my time coaching. I look at it like a stipend. I just want to get this information in people's hands. And we've got a ton of freebies too, so you need to check that out as well. This particular, those of y'all that have bought the premium resources before know the GPS system is not the first one. And every time I send you something, I send you a whole bunch of freebies to go along with it. They're all kind of cool things. That list will come up later. This one comes with the Wristband Creator. I've had this for several years, used it, toward the end of my career to make our wristbands. Sometimes we didn't use them. Sometimes they come in handy. Sometimes just making one for the quarterback with our bundles and scripts on them, and where we give him a signal and he'd look at it and he can just quickly call the play to everybody else, one word, whatever. But it's a great thing to have, even if you just use it to make your call sheet. And it's totally free and it's easy to do. You just populate the cells with your plays and what the kids do on that play, ever how you want to do it. And it's just done for you. All that hard part that I don't know crap about is already done. All right, don't forget, go ahead and subscribe right now. If you're not subscribed to Football Talk with Coach Chip, do so now. If you're a longtime viewer and you're not subscribed, what's wrong with you, man? You touched in the head. It's 100% free, no strings attached, over 300 videos, football videos, free of charge, not to mention all the free resources that go with being a subscriber. I've often get new subscribers say, Coach, I've looked at the list. Can I have them all? I send them all. It takes 2 or 3 emails to load them up, but we get them all out to you, all kind of cool things. So subscribe to the channel today. Don't forget the podcast and roll that beautiful theme music. If you haven't checked out, right now we're at 35 episodes, been going strong since June. I decided to do it after I retired from the sideline. I said, I got time now. I've been wanting to do one for years. We used to joke about doing one in the coach's office. And I said, no, man, we might go to jail for that or it'd be rated so. But anyway, we couldn't do that. But didn't have time. And I try to do everything first class and as professional as I can do it as my abilities allow. And so I do a lot of editing and it takes a lot of time to do it. All kind of coaches from the rec league guys, youth league guys, all the way up to college coaches have already been guests on Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast. If you're looking for a way to burn an hour while you're driving or while you're walking or running, whatever it is you do when you listen to podcasts, this is a great one to try. And we just get on there, 2 coaches talking ball. It's pretty cool. All right, let's get started. We're talking about the kickout block. It is and I used a lot of the same information from the one about the J blocks. Go back and check that one out if you missed it. If you run power, you need to check out the J block video. It was the one that came out right before this one. And I'm not going to read all this to you. You can pause it and read it yourself. But what is a kick out block? What I think it is, the purpose of it, who executes it is usually the backside guard, although you can do it with the backside tackle or the H. And I've got some video of, I don't think it's on this particular episode, of Michigan running their CH counter where the center pulls and kicks. But most high school teams, I'd say 80-90% of kick-out blocks are performed by the backside guard. And if you're still not sure what it is, it's all right. It's coming. You'll know. Talk about technique and all that good stuff. And here's some more on the technique. I'm going to get into this with you. The blocker must be aggressive, but not overly aggressive. We'll talk about that. When they get they're trying to get to the point of attack and use their inside leverage and their position to push the M-loss, in man on line of scrimmage, outside. Very similar to the J block, except the kick out. If a kick out is done by an H, Y, F, whatever it is you call your sniffer guy, it's usually a zone. You're taking care of that backside. I don't see many kickouts with the H, but you do see a lot of them, a lot of J blocks with the H. But it's usually a lineman, center, backside guard, backside tackle. And we have tagged it up where the backside tackle and the H pull because people are giving us these bear fronts with double threes and being all dastardly and evil defensive coordinators. We teach them to skip pull, get depth, just like we do on all our other pulls, because we don't want to get hung up. There's been many years where we take that little 150-pound center because he can put those snaps on the money, and he may get blown up a little bit. But as long as he can slow that joker down, we're okay when he blocks back. So we teach those guards and those other linemen, when they pull, push off and get as much depth as possible so you don't get hung up. And I tell them, if you get hung up, it ain't on him. It ain't on the center. It ain't on the play side guard. It's you for not having enough depth. You better be 5 yards deep. If you're 5 yards deep and you get hung up, then we'll start talking to the center. But you want to get depth. And we teach them to start getting downhill, and we use this term, cross the line of scrimmage, as soon as he clears the midline. And the midline is the butt pad of the center pre-snap. Where was the ball pre-snap? That's because it should be lined up. The ball is always lined up with the crack of the center's butt and his nose. So when you skip pull and push back and get that depth, as you're coming toward the play side, when you clear that midline, which was previously, then you start getting downhill, and we teach them to cross the line of scrimmage. They don't always cross it in the games, but in our drills, always cross the line of scrimmage. Always. It's in the manual. It's in the manual. And it's also it's in the O-line manual, and it's in the system manual. But we do those drills because we want to overdo it. All right, the aiming point on the kick out is the near hip or inside number of the M-loss and man on line of scrimmage, just like it is on a J block. He's just coming from further away. Just like we taught on the J block, they should come under control, come to balance before making contact with the defender. We don't want to whiff. We don't want to be, this is a throwback to people my age, Dave Kingman. Dave King, they called him King Kong Kingman. He was like 6'6", about 200 pounds, and he could stroke a baseball. He played baseball like most people play slow pitch softball, but he struck out a ton because he made no qualms about it. And teams that signed him knew what they were going to get. They were going to get feast or famine. And there were several years, he was 30-something home runs, maybe 40. But he was going to strike out a ton too. That's what happens when you try to do kill shots. Don't be Dave Kingman. Teach your kids to be Tony Gwynn. Get hits. I'd heap rather have a guy that's going to make the block 80% of the time instead of whiff on it 80% of the time because he's trying to kill the guy. Then he takes those two that he got the guy on, puts them on his huddle, and tries to get people to think that he's a great offensive lineman. He's not. The helmet should be on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage. We tell them this phrase, pull left, hit left, or pull right, hit right. That means if you're pulling to the right, you're going to contact with the right side of your body, your right shoulder. Pull left, same thing, left side. That way your head's always on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage when you make contact. And once you make contact, the block just begins. You got to strain, fight, work your hips, and you're trying to work your backside hip. So if you're running counter right and you're the left guard, as you pull right, when you make contact with your right shoulder, with your head on the left, on the defensive side, you want to start working your left hip, the hip that's on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage, up the field. So if you lose him outside and up in the backfield, and the ball should be gone. All right, here's a diagram of just a drill that we did for years. It's a real simple drill. There's other ones you can do, but this one's so simple. All you need is just some things for a landmark. Teach those kids to skip, pull back behind that cone. Teach them that. Overdo it. Make it a little deeper than you want them. I'm telling you guys, if you ask them to give you a yard, they may give you a foot. So ask for more. Overdo drills. I always taught them over-exaggerate the drill. You teach the kids to over-exaggerate their movements, and you over-exaggerate, overdo what you're doing. It's one of the things in the last several years kids like to say was, you're doing too much, you're being extra. And so what I started telling them, there ain't no such thing as doing too much or being extra in football. Overdo it. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. All right, here is a GH counter, which we like to run against odd teams because the H would have a hard time digging out that backside end and the tackle's got a better angle. You can see he pushed back, the guard, the blue guy got his depth. When he cleared that midline, he starts getting downhill, crossing the line of scrimmage right here so he can attack that guy with his left shoulder, pull left, hit left. And we got away from teaching shoulder so much, we just taught sides, and I'll tell you why. It was because so many of the kids played both ways. They were being taught to use their hands on defense, and it was just a way to steal reps while they were being taught the two-hand shiver we could carry that over to offense as well. But it is best to use the flipper and the shoulder pad on these kickout blocks. All right, here's the GT, which we like using against the even front because the H did have a good angle to cut off that backside defensive end, as you can see right there. And not much has changed on the guard's block. And it doesn't have to be the guard. We said that. It could be the center, not against this front, maybe against an under front. Michigan loved to pull their center and still do. Sharon Moore was the O-line coach when the clips that I have of them doing it, and now he's the head coach, so I'm sure they're still doing it with the center. But you see he clears the midline and gets downhill, crossing the line of scrimmage to strike with that left shoulder. If you flipped it and it was counter right, he'd be striking with the right shoulder. Pull right, hit right, pull left, hit left. Okay. A few more points of emphasis, and I'm going to show you some video. Thinking of video, this one's going to go long, y'all. I'll try not to talk much during the videos. We teach upfield hat placement to avoid losing the defensive end inside. The kicker must keep his feet moving once contact is made. Dead feet will get you beat. They must work their inside hip up the field once they make contact on not the J block, but the kick out block. I messed that up. I'll go back and fix it later, but it won't be fixed on this video because I am 16 minutes in and I'm not starting over. Make the block with your feet and hips by fighting them upfield. You block, just like you play in basketball, you play defense with your feet, not your hands. In football, I taught the same thing. You block with your feet. You pass block with your feet. You drive block with your feet. You kick out block with your feet. It's your feet. Like we said, dead feet will get you beat. And when you make contact, you start working those feet. You don't. That's why you got to, even over exaggerate that, make the whistle a little slow in drill time. I was really bad at having a quick whistle in drills because I want to get another rep in. And I think sometimes that may have hurt us. Remember, tell the kicker not to try to blow up the M-loss. He'll miss him. He'll whiff. He'll strike out. Dave Kingman. All right. Let's watch some video. All right, here we go. This is a GH counter. I've already drawn up the guard. This is a great block, a great example. He don't get as much depth as I'd like, but we had a pretty big center that year, and we didn't get blown up much right there. He's going to get downhill. He's going to cross the line of scrimmage. And very rarely will they do it in the game, but you stress it in practice to make sure they know they've got to get downhill. I really put a drastic angle on the board when we work this so we get them downhill. And it always bothers me when I see people draw up plays like the counter and the buck and even the power because they draw it flat, the lines, and that's what the kids see. So I was always very particular once I figured that out to always have, when I draw it up, I draw them getting downhill. They got to get downhill, y'all. Because if they go flat, they'll get the guys that run upfield, but they're going to miss squeezers. All right, so you pull. Now watch, right now he starts getting downhill. Going to come right off that down block's booty right there. Now, the magic in this block happens when he makes contact. Watch, he's going to have his head upfield on this side of the DN. Pull right, hit right, right shoulder. See that? Now, watch what he does with his play side hip. His backside hip, the upfield hip. Because he knows we can lose him up here. We can lose him. As long as we lose him outside, we're okay to lose him there. Because that running back's got to hit that hole. And if he ain't hitting that hole, then that's on the running back. See what he did with his hips? That backside hip. Backside because the play's going to the right and it's his left hip. A defensive side hip, whatever, how you have to tell the kids, that's what they have to do, and that's what they have to do. Whatever you got to do. All right, now this is how you not do a kick out block. The kid he had a great pull, he gets out there in a hurry, and he tries to blow this joker up, and he misses him. Remember, there's 4 things. Come to balance with low hips, be under control, strike the defender, get your feet busy, and be physical after contact. But you got to make contact first. You can't be trying to blow people up all the time. This is a good center. I mean, this is a good guard. He's a good football player. Okay, here we go. Boom, missed him. They still gained good yards. Good job by the back, but he may have checked out because I don't see anybody else hitting him. But that kid right there, he whiffed on him. All right, here's a good example right here. This guy is going to try to go downhill, but he sees the DN run up the field so far, he breaks off of it. You can always get deeper, but you can't get back shallow once you pull deep. If you pull flat or with depth, now you're getting depth as you push off, but you're getting back downhill. And I believe that skip pull, pushing off, getting depth gives you a better angle to get downhill. Honestly, I really do. But you can see he's starting to go downhill when he sees the DN run upfield. And the reason why is if that DN had squeezed at an angle right here and he comes flat, he couldn't have made the play. He couldn't have made the block. See, if he goes flat and he goes shallow, squeezes right here, he's under the block. We can't let him get under the block. That's why we go downhill. See, he's starting to go downhill. He goes, oh, he's got to push back. Honestly, if he hadn't blocked him, all right, yeah, 33 wasn't going to make that play. All right, here's a really good one. I used it a few years ago on another video. This guard does not get downhill very much. But again, what I tell you, you want to over-exaggerate the drill. You want to over-exaggerate it in practice. Make them, it's like during the summer or during preseason when you're not wearing pads, this is a great drill. Put the boards out there, cones, whatever it is you got, and have that kid do a skip pull and then push off and come down at that drastic angle. Say, cross this line, cross this line. Now, he may have, really, you want to get right there, see? But he may have seen this kid right here, the outside linebacker, who is the M-loss. By the way, defensive end and M-loss are not always the same person, especially against odd fronts. And so it's an outside linebacker, and he may see him running up the field. This play is going to go big, and you can tell right now, look at the difference, the space between the M-loss and the tight end. That's a lot of space for him to squeeze and for him to fit up and fill in. I mean, that's just tough sledding right there, dude. He's still going downhill a little bit. You see that? And watch what he does. He's going to make contact. He's pulling left. He's going to hit left right here with his left shoulder right there. And his head's going to be in front. And we'll ignore the wrap. It was a good job inside shoulder, but we're just talking about kickouts right now. So that's a good football play. And look at the hole created right here. That's the funnel for those of y'all that follow my gap down backer teachings. See, that's the M-loss, the outside linebacker. End man on line of scrimmage. One of the things I didn't stress earlier enough, he's a little high, but then again, he's a big boy. You want to teach your kids to keep their helmet below the target man's chin. We're not trying to hit him in the chin, but that chin serves as a landmark. All right, now here's another high school. This kid's about a 10th grader at the time. He's a great kid. And he's going to come and pull, and there's nobody to kick. So what do you do if there's no one to kick? The kicker should turn upfield and look for work. You're going to see him turn upfield and become a de facto rapper. And I'm not talking about Lil Wayne or Kendrick Lamar here. Number 58, look, nobody's there. The outside linebacker's chasing the bubble, which is what we wanted. And so the kicker turns up. Look, his eyes inside because he also raps. He's a guard. He raps on power. So that's what it turned into. All right, same kid again. I think this is a year later. And he's going to do a great job. Going to pull, get downhill, going to strike with that left shoulder, pull left, hit left. And he's going to work his right hip, which is his backside hip, which is the defensive side hip, up the field. And does a great job of doing that. He blocks that defensive end. They're getting downhill. Got a terrible block right here on the nose. Good thing the back made him miss. But we're not talking about that. Look right there. Pull left, hit left. Look at left shoulder. He's almost too far up the field. Look how much space is between them. He's a little high. A little high. You need to get that head below that chin right there, you see. But watch him work those hips up the field. Work that right hip up the field. Pinning this guy, not allowing him to come in the funnel, in the hole. And if the guy wants to run up the field, back out here, more power to him. There he is, right there. Now, he caught him with that left shoulder, and then he extended on him and got him away from him, which is, to me, is ideal. I won't say perfect, but it's ideal. All right, I want to show you a knockdown. This is a GT counter, and we're going to see the left guard. So he's pulling right. He's going to hit right, and he's under control, but it's a little bitty guy come run up the field, and he gets his knockdown. But you can still get knockdowns. But you don't want to try to get them every time. So he's coming right there. He sees the guy run up field, so he flattens out. Remember, if you're shallow, you can always get deep. But if you're too deep, you can't get back shallow. He's going to get underneath your block and blow it up. Then we just got to hope for that the wrapper sees it and goes outside, and that the running back reads it and it bounces. That's all you can do. But that's why we want to pull shallow, get across that line of scrimmage. You can adjust when you see them run up the field and flatten out. See, striking with his right side, got his head upfield. He don't need to work his hip because he's gonna knock the kid down. He knocked him, slam out the screen, the kid went down. Trust me, I just was in tight, blow it up. All right, that's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Don't forget an opportunity to support Football Talk with Coach Chip. buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Had a dude the other day that just sent me some things, sent me some stuff on Buy Me a Coffee because I had been helping him out through emails and all that good stuff. Don't forget, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Chip Siegel, Coach Chip, at Chip Siegel on Twitter /X, and also on Facebook. It's called Football Talk with Coach Chip, and also on Instagram. And don't forget about the podcast. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple. You can find it, I've been told, I don't use the other ones, but other podcatchers as well. 30, right now, over 35 episodes. And go over there and check it out. Had a great conversation in the last episode with Kenny Simpson of the Gun T Guy. My good buddy Kenny came on, and we had a good time talking football. Be sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, this is what you can get. You go ahead and pause it right now before I click on to the next slide and go back and look at it and see what you want. All I ask is you subscribe to the channel. And we just added cycle 1 of our weightlifting program that we use for so long. A lot of athletic lifts. It's good, something you can do in 45 minutes, maybe quicker, depending on the number of kids and stations that you have available. I'm available to visit with you. If you're not too far away, I'll come to you. If you are on the other side of the country, we'll do a Google Meet. Over 40 years of experience is an email away. Siegel.chip@gmail.com for more info on that. And don't forget all of our premium resources available to you. We've got the newest one, the Gun Power Spread System Manual, where all the things we did for all those years, winning those championships. And we had good players, I'm not going to lie, but the system was pretty good too. That's available to you. Also, the Gap Down Backer Manual for offensive line play, the Big Book of Bucks, and the Jet Sweep Manual. Check all that out. And until next time, y'all, be elite. All video clips contained on Football Talk with Coach Chip are meant for analysis, criticism, comment, teaching, and research by football coaches. We believe this falls under the fair use doctrine of the Copyright Act, Section 107.